Hello everyone and welcome to your guide to popular builds and Heroes of the Storm. My name is Sarah and Death and today we'll be checking out Nazeebo's Spider build. But before we get into any of that, a quick disclaimer. These guides are not written in stone. They are here to point you in the right direction, but ultimately they are a tool to help you learn the hero on your own. Now we've gotten through that, let's take a look at Nazeebo. He is a ranged specialist from the Diablo universe. After dealing with Diablo on Sanctuary, he followed the call of the spirits and found Diablo alive and well in the Nexus, so he decided to stay and do that voodoo that he does so well. His kit allows him to be a solid laner that can bring the damage and lock opponents in with a wall of zombies. Before we get into his talent build, let's take a quick look at his skills. His trait is called Voodoo Ritual. This makes Nazeebo's abilities and damage apply a poison that deals a small amount of damage over 4 seconds. The small dot doesn't stack, but the duration is refreshed every time someone is hit by one of his attacks. In addition, if an enemy dies while poisoned, the Nazeebo will regen 2% health and 1% mana. It is essential that while you're laning to try and tag minions before they die, so you can take advantage of the regen. Nazeebo's Q is called Corpse Spiders. This is a 10-second cooldown that throws a jar of spiders at the target location. The jar will break on impact, dealing moderate damage, and creates 3 spiders that will chase enemies down, dealing light damage to them. The spiders last for 4 seconds, and like other summoned creatures, they have had their AI improved. This is a great ability that does a fair amount of damage if you manage to hit someone with the jar and the spiders get their full duration on them. His W is called Zombie Wall. This is a 14-second cooldown AoE skill shot that creates a circular wall of zombies after a short delay. Zombie Wall lasts 3 seconds and will deal light damage to anyone that gets close to them. You can reactivate the ability again to bring the wall back down. This is an amazing tool that can lock someone inside the wall, block enemies from escaping, or zone enemies out of an area. Nazeebo's E is called Plague of Toads. This is a 10-second cooldown, directional AoE that sends out 5 toads that will happily hop in a direction until they reach their maximum range or they come into contact with an enemy, in which case they will explode, dealing moderate damage. This is a great AoE tool that can deal a large amount of damage if you manage to hit an enemy with more than 1 toad. Just a note about the skill shot, the toads will attempt to move around terrain, so keep that in mind when you let them loose. Now that we've covered his base abilities, let's take a quick look at his heroics. His first heroic is called Gargantuan. This is a 60-second cooldown that summons a Gargantuan that lasts for 20 seconds. The Gargantuan will deal moderate impact damage at the location he is summoned. His basic attacks will deal heavy damage, and he will attempt to focus nearby enemies or your last target. However, he will leash back to you if you move too far away. You can also command the Gargantuan to stomp, dealing moderate AoE damage by reactivating the ability. This is a very strong heroic that can deal a massive amount of damage in a team fight as long as you're able to hit more than one enemy with your stomp. His second heroic is called Ravenous Spirit. This is a 90-second cooldown that channels a Ravenous Spirit that lasts for 8 seconds, dealing moderate damage per second to nearby enemies. Nazeebo cannot move while channeling, instead he moves the spirit where he wants it to go. This is a great damage dealing heroic that can potentially dish out a massive amount of damage. Just remember that you can't move while you are channeling the ability, and getting stunned will stop your channel. But if you feel that you no longer need the damage or you're starting to get focused, you can always reactivate the ability to stop the channel. This will, however, put Ravenous Spirit on cooldown. Now that we've covered his basic abilities, let's get into the talents. At level 1, you're going to go with Death Ritual. This is going to permanently increase your health by 5 and your mana by 3 whenever a minion dies while poisoned by Voodoo Ritual. This just further emphasizes making sure you tag minions before they die, so that way you can get more tanky and you can get more mana for those long, drawn-out team fights. At level 4, you will take Spider Cluster. This creates a small nest at the location where you threw your corpse spiders, and over the next 3 seconds, the nest will spawn 3 more corpse spiders. This basically boils down to more damage once the spiders seek out targets to bite. At level 7, you're going to go with Gidbin. This is going to increase the duration of your zombie wall and corpse spiders by 33%. This is going to allow you to lock someone down a bit longer, but also allow your spiders to put out more damage. When it comes to Nazeebo's heroics, both are solid choices, but which one you choose will really come down to what your team needs and how many stuns the enemy team has. If the enemy team is loaded with stuns, or you're afraid the enemy will focus you down too quickly, then you will go with Gargantuan. This will really boost your front line and can really pump out a lot of damage during team fights. The Gargantuan can be a little tough to control sometimes, and landing the stomp is extremely important, but it will serve you well if you get your timing right. If the enemy team has no stuns, or your team is doing a really great job at protecting you, then you may want to go with Ravenous Spirit. This heroic has the potential of doing some massive AoE damage, especially if the team is clumping up. Ravenous Spirit also combos very well with AoE stuns and roots. At level 13 you have a choice to make. Almost 100% of the time you will likely go Toads of Hugeness. I know this doesn't fit very well with the Spider build, but this talent increases Plague of Toads damage and area by 20% after each hop. The Toads can hop a total of 5 times, meaning that if you manage to get a max range Toad off, you can deal 100% extra damage in a pretty large area. This just increases your damage output, and with great placement can deal a lot of damage during team fights. Your other option is Thing of the Deep. This increases the range of your basic abilities by 25%. This talent isn't that popular right now, but on maps like Cursed Hollow where collecting tributes requires a channel, you can stall the enemy team out for a long time from a safe distance. This is sort of a niche pick, but it has its uses. At level 16 you're going to go with Leaping Spiders. What is more creepy than a jar full of spiders? How about a jar full of spiders that now jump at you? Leaping Spiders allows your corpse spiders to leap at their targets and deal 15% more damage. This allows them to chase a bit better, and the extra damage will add up. Your level 20 talent choice comes down to 2 things. The first is the heroic you went with, and the other is, do you want to exchange your only escape for boosting that heroic? If you went with Gargantuan, then you may want to go with Humongoid. This is going to make your Gargantuan last until it is killed, and on top of that, it will now deal 100% more damage to non-heroic targets. This is going to allow you to tear through merc camps and push extremely hard, and Gargantuan will always be up for team fights. If you went with Ravenous Spirit, then you may want to go with Annihilating Spirit. This increases the range of Ravenous Spirit by 50% and the movement speed by 30%. This allows you to use your Ravenous Spirit from a safer range and will allow you to secure kills a bit more often. And there is always the option of going with Bolt of the Storm. This is a 70-second cooldown that allows you to teleport to a location. This is the only escape that you will have, and if an enemy team has a lot of dive or you find yourself being focused a lot, then I would highly recommend you go with it. Nazeebo Spider build is a strong build that makes him a great laner with good wave clear. He has great poke that allows him to deal consistent damage during team fights, with a heroic that can be incredibly impactful during those team fights. However, he has no escape until 20. His zombie wall can be tough to land, his spiders can be lured away from the intended target, his Gargantuan can be killed, and he can be stunned at a Ravenous Spirit. Alright, now we've covered all of that, let's go over some quick tips for Nazeebo. I can't stress this enough, but stacking Death Ritual in the early game can make you pretty tanky toward the mid and late game, which becomes increasingly more important as heroes start to gain more mobility. Make sure you find a good, safe location before you use Ravenous Spirit. It is a very powerful heroic that can put out a lot of damage, but it can be so easily countered with a simple stun. Remember, you can use Ravenous over walls and terrain. On maps that require the enemy to channel in order to secure an objective, make sure you throw your spiders near the objective to stall it out. After you get Spider Cluster, even if someone tries to lure your spiders away, the new ones that spawn can still stall the channel. Remember, you don't have to land a zombie wall around an enemy to make great use of zombie wall. You can use the wall to body block enemies, zone them out, or even block skill shots while you channel an objective. And I also feel it is important to note that zombie wall can be a little tough to land at first. So if you miss your zombie wall, please reactivate the ability again to put the wall back down. This will limit the frustration of your teammates if you manage to catch them in a zombie wall by accident. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found this guide helpful. If you have any variations or tips for this build, feel free to share them in the comments below. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, I will catch you all later.